ship on a raging sea, a making distress in the love emergency. Runaway train cleaning up the tracks, the last breath before a heart attack. The earthquake at the sexual room, vomiting falling skies and impending doom. One chance, you need it, before you leave at your destiny. One chance, you need it, to come to terms with mortality. All that's important to me. Everything inside of me. All that trivia will fade and soon rusty. You will see you're on a jet with destiny. Look in the jaws of your own demise. Watch your life pass before your eyes. Just to live like a dream come true, or did you just survive? Did you do all you could do? And a fall from a burning tower. What would you do with just one more hour? Make that hour out every day, like it was your last, or if it's better that way. One chance, you feel it, before you leave with your destiny. One chance, you need it, to come to terms with mortality. All that's important to me.
The kids are on a date with destiny. The conference tournaments continue today. This is March Madness. It's already begun. For the amateurs, it begins on the 17th. But as of right now, the madness has begun. We had a lot of, for the Oklahoma game last night. We had a buzzer beater called back. Fucking poor kid. I was fucking riding Oklahoma last night too. I had fucking my head in my hands. I was fucking freaking out. Didn't really know what was going on. Had a feeling that it wasn't going to count. But hey, man, what a hell of a game. Props to the Mountaineers of West Virginia for pulling that off. They're in the dance today against Kansas. We had a profitable night. We've had a profitable run with the NCAA hardcourt. We're going to continue that with some sports picks later. But the madness has begun. We got some FA Cup action on today as well. Some Premier League action going on as well, as you can see in the background. Southampton, Stoke City. Game sitting at 2-1 right now for Southampton. They came out firing. Pele ended his goal-scoring drought. Southampton's a little short-handed in the back. No Jose Font today. They got Bertrand filling in. His speed seems to be coping well with the Stoke City attack there in Southampton. Southampton's had a bad run of games lately. They need 3 points. Basically, these clubs are back-to-back in the standings. It's a big match for these two clubs. You know, they're trying to see where they stand in the Premier League. It's been exciting to say the least. Virgil van Dijk's had a hell of a game in the back four. He's a nice find for Southampton. Center back came over from Celtic. Dutch defender. But if I'm going to start with some football talk here. Yes, some football talk, not the NFL. The NFL's got their free agency in full gear, full swing. We're seeing a lot of fucking movement, but I'll get to that later. Manchester United took on Liverpool in the Europa League on Thursday. We've been stumbling, United. We don't really have a whole lot to play for. A top four finish is going to be very difficult. We're sitting, 10 points off? 10 points off fourth, 9 games to play. It's going to be fucking difficult. We got a couple difficult games coming up as well. We got the FA Cup on Sunday against West Ham. And then we, sorry about this. My hat's fucking pissing me off this morning. We got an FA Cup game Sunday against West Ham. And then we host Liverpool again in the Europa League. Sitting there down 2-0 in aggregate. It was awful. It was awful from the first kickoff. From the first minute to the 90th minute. It was awful. We had no emotion. I don't mind if we play bad. I don't mind if Liverpool takes control of the game. They are at home. It is a professional fucking game, to say the least. These are professionals. You do win, you do lose, but it's how you fucking lose. There was no emotion. It's like they didn't even care. Sitting there playing our fucking arch rivals. I hate Liverpool. I hate Liverpool. I always say, I'll support any team in Europe from England. Any team in Europe from England, not named Liverpool or Manchester City. It was an awful display. We couldn't cope with the press. the pressing defense that Jurgen Klopp had his Liverpool players performing. We didn't adapt. I think that's my one big complaint about Louis van Gaal's reign here at Manchester United. We don't adapt. We don't adapt. We go in with our game plan. If it works, it works. It doesn't, we're in fucking trouble. And we've seen it over and over and over again. In that moment, we needed someone to fire the boys up. That's when we need one of our veterans to fucking step up. That's when Roy Keane would go in and take someone out. Roy Keane would run into Carragher and fucking stir some shit up. But if it wasn't for Joe Hart, that game could have easily been 4 or 5-0. Easily 4 or 5-0. Once again, not Joe Hart. David De Gea, sorry. I'm thinking about English keepers right now because we've got two English keepers right now playing, Fraser Forster and Jack Butland. The England goaltending situation looks pretty damn good right now heading into Euro 2016. Joe Hart, Fraser Forster, Jack Butland. We should have no excuses, England, in Euros. But anyways, David De Gea played a fucking awesome game. If it wasn't for David De Gea, it would have been 4 or 5-0. Once again, he's easily been our best player, our most consistent player all year. Definitely glad that we survived the Real Madrid scare with the transfer. I still see him going back to Spain one day. Probably sooner rather than later, but I still see another couple campaigns under his belt for the red side of Manchester. Anthony Martial, where the hell have you been? Where the hell you been, Anthony Martial? I really thought this little recent explosion of Marcus Rashford. We know that Rashford's not going to keep this up. Come on, the kid's 18. The game has changed. He ain't going to fucking keep this up. But I was really hoping that his impact, him popping a couple goals, getting the attentions, would kind of wake Martial up a little bit. He's supposed to be the teenage sensation. He's the most expensive teenager in fucking Europe. But he's disappeared. He's disappeared. Same with Memphis Depay. We can really tell that Memphis Depay has a lot more room to grow in his boots. He's not quite there yet. Not quite there yet with his confidence. He's got to be a little bit more shifty. But then again, I'd like to see Van Gaal move the kid around the pitch a little bit more. Don't just keep him on the left-hand side. Defenders know what he wants to do. Switch him over to the right. Let him go down the middle for a few, for 10 or 15 minutes in a match. Use his pace. Let's fucking change this shit up. Especially Wayne Rooney having a setback with his knee injury. He's going to be out for another month. He's going to be pushing his fitness for the Euro 2016 this year. Which, in hindsight, might be a good thing for England. I want to see a nice, real young squad in England for the Euro 2016 this year. I do want Wayne Rooney on the squad. I do think he should be our captain. I think he deserves it. Does he deserve a starting 11 place all the time? Maybe not necessarily, especially with his fitness. Harry Kane should be our number 9. If Harry Kane's not our number 9, then we got a fucking problem right out the get-go for England. But at fucking United, that was an awful display. Awful. One of the worst displays I've ever fucking seen. It's fucking Liverpool. It's Liverpool. Let's get up. I had more emotion screaming and yelling at the TV. I wanted to punch somebody. But good on Liverpool. They deserved it. Match is not over. We're only down 2-0 heading back to the Theatre of Your Dreams, where anything is possible. So I'm looking forward to that next Thursday. There has been a lot of football news right now. Ibrahimovic linked to Manchester United. I can actually see that being a possibility. I can see Arsenal being a possibility as well. Arsenal's style of play really fits into what Ibrahimovic is all about. Ibra will run around the pitch and grab the ball back and try to control it. Get as many touches as he can, but he has no problem sitting in the middle of the field, sitting in the middle of the box, and pulling off some nifty 1-2s with his wingers and midfielders to create some nifty fucking goals. So, Arsenal is a perfect little place for Ibrahimovic, but Arsenal doesn't sign people that old. Plain and simple, Arsenal does not sign people that old. Peter Cech was an exception, but Peter Cech is a goalkeeper, and one hell of a fucking goalkeeper. Do I see him going to... And they're linked right now with Alvaro Morata from Juventus. So that's more up Arsenal's style. That's way up more Arsenal's alley. Do I see Ibra going to Chelsea? No. Not if Costa's there. They're going to go a little bit younger. They got an old squad right now. Chelsea, they're going to try and go a lot younger. They're going to pull some Arsenal tricks, basically. Can't see him going to City. Pep Guardiola's going to City, and Ibrahimovic fucking hates Pep Guardiola. go read his book. Basically called him a coward. Called him a coward because he couldn't look him in the eye and act like a man when he had his time in Barcelona and a lot of shit was thrown on Eber's shoulders from the media. Wasn't all his fault. I'm glad Eber stood up for himself and finally said, fuck it. I'm going to drive my Ferrari to Camp Nou. Screw you guys. You guys aren't even fucking playing me. And he had fucking a pretty damn good year there too, man. It's not like he fucking went there and didn't do anything. He fucking piled up his goals like usual. But it was the Lionel Messi show. It was. It is what it is. Like Eber said, man, they're taught to be a bunch of schoolboys over there. They get fucking yelled at, they bow their heads and say yes. They don't stand up for themselves sometimes. And that's definitely not Ibrahimovic. Can I see Eber coming to United next year? I really can. I really can. Do I think he wants to play in the Prem before he retires? I really do. I think he's more excited to play in the Premier League than he is to play in the MLS. Do I think he'll do both? Yes. In other news, before I get to some of these games, Newcastle sacked Steve McLaren. Finally. Fucking I hate Steve McLaren. Awful. He had an awful time as manager of England. Awful. I knew he'd have an awful tenure at Newcastle. It was a topsy-turvy tenure with him at Derby. I don't think he's a very good manager. He's not a Premier League manager. No. He's not a Premier League manager. He's far away from that. But Newcastle goes ahead and decides to appoint Rafael Benitez. My old rival, Rafael Benitez, back in the fucking Premier League. I love it. Now I can fucking rip on this guy even closer. Told you he wasn't going to amount to nothing in Real Madrid. You think Rafael Benitez was going to walk into Real Madrid and beat fucking Barcelona? With his track record? I don't think so. Now, with that being said, this is a little bit more on his scope. This is a little bit more on his level. Do I think Benitez is a world-class manager? No. Do I think he should be in control of a top 6, top 5 club in the Premier League? No. Did a satisfactory job in Napoli, but Napoli aren't a fucking giant either. But look what Napoli's doing this year, performing much better without him. Much better without him. I think he's an awful manager. I think he's got an awful persona. Now, I've never played under him, so this is all just my opinion shit. This is just shit that I see on the field. Some of it is fact. Right, Benitez? Fact. Will he be able to keep Newcastle up? I think Newcastle on its own will be able to keep themselves up. They got some quality fucking players. They don't want to go through the embarrassment that Aston Villa is going through right now. Because you want to talk about some sad sack fucking soccer. Aston Villa, man. I think fucking Toronto FC would give them a fucking go. I think Toronto FC legitimately would give Aston Villa a fucking go. And that's fucking saying something. And congrats to Toronto FC. 2-0 win in the season opener in New York against the Red Bulls. Congrats. Giovinco with a penalty kick. Then he set up Gonzalez for the clincher. An extra time. 91st, 92nd minute. It was a good match. It was a quality match. We performed well from the keeper right on out. I'd like to see the new additions. Drew Miller, I think, is going to be a solid fit back there. Bringing in the right back. Who is he? I haven't had a whole lot of time. I didn't do any MLS fantasy this year, so I didn't really jump into MLS too fucking quick. Been busy with school, as you can tell. Trying to get these podcasts out fucking harder than it fucking looks. It'll come to me. The back four at TFC will all fucking come to me. I'm just focusing on the Prem right now. Loretta Lynch seems to be getting a lot of praise right now. She was on Stephen Colbert talking about her involvement in the FIFA arraignment and scandal. She was kind of one of the head honchos going after it. Just hang on a second here. Just want to double check some of my So she's a United States Attorney General since 2015. I thought she was involved in Baltimore. Yeah, I guess I'm wrong on that. She worked closely with Barack Obama. But I thought she had something to do with Baltimore. I was going to say, what the fuck, man? She's getting all this notoriety for dealing with fucking Sepp Blatter and the fucking crooks at FIFA, but she can't keep Baltimore under control. But she's got nothing to do with Baltimore, I don't think. Maybe some of her Attorney General stuff has stuff to do with cases down there, but I don't think so. I can't see anything. I'm just jumping on Wikipedia right now for some quick info. But she's worked closely with Barack Obama. She called herself the FIFA Slayer. It's like, come on, man. Really? Really? You're fucking taking praise for something that was so fucking wide open in the public? It's just that fucking, people were too afraid to do anything? It's like, come on. Come on. We all knew they were fucking crooks. I don't think it was a very hard investigation, Loretta Lynch. A couple other things that kind of got my attention is Eden Hazard's father is fucking blasting Chelsea about the way they've handled his son. Well, I got news for you, Terry Hazard. Your son hasn't fucking scored a Premier League goal all year. Your son hasn't been very fucking good. You may say he's got an inflamed hip. If it was that fucking much of a problem, he wouldn't be out there fucking playing. He wouldn't be walking. He wouldn't be moving around. Right now, I see right now is a big attitude problem. You can see it in his fucking body language. You can see it the way that he fucking involves his teammates. You see it the way he fucking attacks defenders if you watched him last year. He's a shell. He's a shadow of his former self. He wants this big fucking money move. He wants to go back to the main continent of Europe. And if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm saying get the hell out of here. Get the fucking hell out of here right now. Oscar's all, there was always that Hazard, Oscar. A lot of people wanted to keep Hazard over Oscar. But at least Oscar showed some fucking guts. Oscar showed some fucking heart. Doesn't always get the starting 11 opportunity, but he never complains. Could have took a big money move to China, but he said, fuck you, China. And I would too. So, Terry Hazard, you just gotta shut your mouth right now. Your son hasn't done anything for you to back it up. It's been through 2 managers right now, and we haven't seen any fucking changes. So there's obviously one common denominator when you got 2 fucking of the best managers in the world that have, tried to fucking fix this guy. There's one common denominator. I think that's inside Eden Hazard's head. He's not even putting himself in the opportunities. It's very lackluster. I'd be very fucking frustrated as a Blues fan watching this guy play all year. Kind of reminds me of Angel Di Maria last year when he just fucking... And I don't blame him. His house got broken into while his family was there and shit like that, right? He had some fucking personal issues that really, he said, all right, I gotta get the fuck out of here. But he stopped playing. Basically stopped fucking playing. It kind of looks like what Hazard's doing as well. So, Terry Hazard, you just gotta shut your mouth right now. Let your son fucking deal with this shit. You know he's fucking moving on in the summer to a fucking bigger club. Real Madrid's going through some fucking changes. And if you had a gun to my head, I'm taking James Rodriguez over Eden Hazard any day. Any day. Another thing that's kind of interesting is Aubameyang, the striker for Borussia Dortmund. And if nobody caught it, Borussia Dortmund ran fucking Tottenham off the pitch on Thursday. But I love it. Aubameyang says, I would never sign for Spurs. I guess Spurs tried to sign him in 2012 when he was playing for Saint Etienne. The negotiations were shady at least. Kind of comical. As Aubameyang was quoted, they got a little bit weird. I've heard rumblings and rumors of Tottenham previously. They have a history of having some weird negotiations, some comical negotiations when trying to bring in transfers or selling players. So Daniel Levy, I'm pretty sure, is the owner of Tottenham Hotspur. So I love to see that. And I don't think Aubameyang is going to be coming to the Premier League anytime soon, even though I think his game is definitely fit for the style of the Premier League. I think he's got the strength and the pace and the sharp mental. You got to be fucking quick and sharp mentally to play in the Premier League, not just physically. So we got Chelsea and Everton kicking off about, I think, just over a half an hour. I think it's like a 12:15, 12:30 kickoff, something like that. So just under an hour, I'm going to assume. I think it's 12:30. 12:30 kickoff. Looking forward to it. FA Cup action. One of my favorite fucking competitions in the world. I do have a play on it. I'm going to get to some plays here coming up. Michigan Wolverines. As I start to segue into some NCAA basketball, Michigan Wolverines hit a last-minute 3-ball to defeat Indiana. It was a fucking hell of a game. I was actually watching it in class. Some of my classmates kind of saw me coming out. You know, when you got money right on the game. I'm a big Michigan Wolverines basketball fan myself, the blue and gold. And we needed that win to get in the dance. I think we will get in the dance now. I think we've elevated ourselves past the bubble team. Getting into the finals of the Big Ten. Play Purdue today. I do have a play on Michigan. I will say that. We're going to get to my plays here in a second. I like them today. I look for a close game between them and Purdue. The Boilermakers of Purdue. I'll tell you what, though. The Seton Hall Xavier game last night was awesome. If anybody caught that Seton Hall Xavier game, fucking awesome. Seton Hall goes up against Villanova today. It's going to be a fucking good one in the Big East final. The Seton Hall Pirates are fucking making a stand, making a comeback to relevance. But, alright, so let's jump on. Enough soccer. I like what the Tennessee Titans have done before I jump into this NCAA basketball. DeMarco Murray right on. This is the best thing we've done in about a decade. This is the happiest I've been since Vince Young somehow dragged us into the playoffs. I think it was the last time back in, 07? Something like that? 08? But, very excited. Very excited. You add Tunsil, hopefully with a number 1 overall pick. We had Rashard Mathis to go in with some wide receiver depth. We had DeMarco Murray. You know, we keep Mariota up on his feet, give him some protection, fill in a couple of these defensive holes, and we got something brewing in Tennessee. We got something brewing. I think the Colts and the Jaguars will fight for the division next year. I do think Houston will be nothing but average, especially with their new quarterback, Brock Osweiler. Do I blame Osweiler for taking the money? No. I don't fucking blame him for taking the money at all. Do I know how much the Broncos were offering him? No. But I think it was, $32 million to $22 million? It's a pretty big fucking difference, man. When you're a young kid, that's a difference of $10 million guaranteed. So what would you do? What would you do? Leave $10 million guaranteed off the table or fucking take the $10 million, be a starting quarterback for another franchise? You know, that's and in the NFL, you got to remember, there's no guaranteeing contracts. You got to take your fucking money when you can. So I don't blame the kid. Do I like the kid? No. Do I give a fuck about the Denver Broncos? No. They got Mark Sanchez. Have fucking fun. He'll be nothing but a backup. Come on. We all know he's going to be a backup, but it's just kind of funny to see Mark Sanchez there now. All right, let's get to some picks here. So on the NCAA hardcourt, I got a bunch going off. We got a busy schedule today. Actually, before I even get to the NCAA hardcourt, I told you I had to play on the Everton-Chelsea match, FA Cup. That game's starting pretty soon. I'll get it out first. Just pull this up. So as it stands right now, Everton's at home versus Chelsea. Both clubs are sitting at plus 175 to take the win. The draw right now is plus 240, so it's basically a pick-em kind of game. The over-under in this game is 2.5 goals. The over is sitting at minus 125 right now. You can get a plus 100 on the under. I do like one thing I like to check with soccer is if they think that if the bookies think that both teams are going to score. I like to correlate that with the over. They got it sitting at minus 163 right now for both teams to score. So I like that to fall in our favor. Last game between these two clubs was a 3-3 draw. An exciting game at Stamford Bridge. And then earlier in the season, Everton topped Chelsea 3-1 at Goodison Park. So we've seen a total of 6, 9, 10 goals in 2 games between these clubs this year. I look for it to continue. So I'm going to take the over 2.5 at minus 125 in the Everton-Chelsea game. All right, let's get to some picks here on the NCAA hardcourt. First game up, the LSU Tigers take it on Texas A&M. LSU, they're trying to get in the big dance right now. They have to win the SEC tournament to get in. 2 wins away? 2 wins away. I think they're going to hang tough right now against Texas A&M. We've been seeing a line movement on this. Started off, I think it opened up at plus 6.5. Saw it get down to minus... this game opened up at Texas A&M at minus 6.5. We've seen it get down to about minus 5.5, minus 6 for Texas A&M. As it currently stands, A&M are minus 7-point favorites. Total in this game is 146. I like LSU Tigers to hang around at plus 7. In fact, I got them at plus 6.5 earlier, before all this line movement started to happen. Sometimes patience is a virtue. I don't want to dive into too many trends on this since it is the conference tournament and things do happen. But I think the LSU Tigers offense will be able to hang with Texas A&M. The only thing that scares me, though, is LSU are 2-11 against the spread away from home this year. And they are playing away from home right now on a neutral court. They're at the Bridgestone Arena. But they've been playing well. They put up 80-plus points in their last 4 games, LSU. So that's why I think their offense is going to come to play. They got nothing else to play for but a victory. So I'm going to take the LSU Tigers at plus 7. Sorry, plus 6.5, but plus 7 depending on what your books are. The Michigan Wolverines. They're looking to win the Big Ten tournament. Cash their ticket to the dance. I think they've already cashed their ticket to the dance with the win over Indiana. Purdue Boilermakers, they're minus 6.5-point favorites. Total in this game is 142. I'm going to ride Michigan Wolverines. I've actually bought a half point. It opened up at plus 7. We've seen a little bit of movement towards the Wolverines. I bought a half point. I got Michigan at plus 7. I think their defense is going to come to play. I think we're going to see a classic Big Ten matchup. High 60s. Maybe one team will sneak into the 70s, but a high 60 defensive matchup. They continue moving down the board here. We got a lot of games today. We got a lot of good games today. So Seton Hall, the Pirates. I was talking about them not, about 5-10 minutes ago. Seton Hall, they're taking on Villanova. Villanova, they've been ranked number 1 in the nation. But put it this way, Villanova's on the list. They've fucking screwed me in the past. They'll screw me in the future. I'm pretty sure that, they screwed me last night. No, sorry. They almost screwed me last night. I had Providence. Providence hung in there, and I had Providence at plus 8.5. They lost by 8. It was a sweat job. I think we're in for another sweat job tonight. We're going to have a close game. But as it stands, Villanova, the Wildcats are minus 6.5-point favorites. The total in this game is 138. I like the over 138. I'm absolutely loving the 138. I think Seton Hall, the freshman point guard, they're going to be coming to play. They're going to push the offense. Villanova's going to have to respond. Villanova's got a lot of bigs, too, so they can get some easy points in the paint. And like I said, when you're getting down to these semifinal, final games of the conference final, these kids have nothing else to play for but a championship win, man. They want to win. So I'm going to ride the over 138. The Villanova Seton Hall. Seton Hall, they've come to play against Villanova this year. They lost 72-63 at Nova. But then they responded with a fucking nail-biting loss at home to Villanova, 72-71. So I think they're going to hang around. They're learning. We've seen some growth when they play them. Alright, got a couple more games for you. I've been following the Fresno State Bulldogs the last couple days in the Mountain West. Been on a good ride with them. Got beat with them the other day. I had at UNLV, when they played UNLV, I had them in the over because UNLV was playing on their home court, deemed the road team. We cashed the over. UNLV didn't quite show up. But hey, that teaches you something. That teaches you. You live and learn. Fresno State, they've been on a team on fire, putting up points. So they're playing San Diego State. I have a soft spot for San Diego State. One of my neutral teams in the NCAA. It's what I call the teams that I like to see do well. Neutrals. I do that in all my sports. Because I always have a favorite. I always wear my colors, and I live and die by them. But I got a couple neutral teams, and San Diego State's one of them. But I don't think they got the offense to hang around with the Bulldogs. As it stands, San Diego State's minus 4.5 point favorites. Total in this game is 127. It opened up at 128.5, I think. So we're seeing some movement to the under. I like the Fresno State Bulldogs at plus 4.5. I think they're gonna not only hang with San Diego State, but I think they can win. The dogs are barking. The dogs are barking. Sitting at plus 170 on the money line. It's worth a look, I think. Fresno lost in San Diego, 73-67 earlier in the season. Responded with a 1-point victory at home, 58-57. That's why I don't want to do anything on the total. Don't want to do anything on the total. You never know in the Mountain West. You fucking never know. These teams usually struggle to score efficiently, but sometimes they fucking come out of nowhere. Fresno State, they've been putting points on the board. They only put up 64 against Colorado State, but they put up 95 against UNLV. They put up 86 against Utah State, 87 against Colorado State, 92 at New Mexico. I think their offense is going to come to play. I think San Diego State's going to struggle to slow it down and keep up with them. I do think it's going to be a somewhat close game, but I think Fresno will take the win and plus 4.5 points. I can't say no. And on my final college play so far, I'm going to tweet some out, some later games, some other games I kind of like. But the Tar Heels, they're looking to try to jump up into a number 1, number 2 spot. I don't think they'll get a number 1 spot in the tournament. I think they'll get a number 2 spot. I think they will win the ACC Conference Tournament, which is a lead into this. Tar Heels are minus 2.5 point favorites. They're hosting Virginia, the Cavaliers. Total in this game is 138.5. Now, I'm leaning to the over 138.5. How can I not? We're sitting under 140 for the Tar Heel game. Under 140 for a Tar Heel game. That doesn't happen very much. But I do think the Tar Heels will win. I bought a point down. I got them sitting at minus... No, sorry, I didn't buy a point, sorry. Got them at minus 2.5. Sorry about that. I retract those statements. I took North Carolina Tar Heels on the money line at minus 125. I just think their offense is going to be too much. They're one of the best offenses in NCAA. I think they're going to come to play. I'm not saying Virginia's no slouch. Virginia, they're giving up less than 60 points a game on the season. They did beat UNC earlier this year at home. We're on a neutral court right now. The game was 136.5, and it went over, 79-74. So I think I'm going to play the over 138.5, but I am playing North Carolina on the money line. I think they're going to take the tournament. They held Notre Dame to 47 points in their last game, beat Pittsburgh, so they're playing, they're going through the gauntlet, North Carolina. They're getting battle tested. Just making sure I got all these plays here. All right, I got one last play for you. It's on the frozen pond. I don't got anything in the association right now. I'll probably jump on the Raptors game later. Kind of like the Indiana Pacers Maverick game to go over as well. But I got one last play for you, locked and loaded on the frozen pond. I've been following the Boston Bruins a lot lately. They're hosting the New York Islanders. No Yaroslav Halak. Thomas Greiss should be taking the starting job in the blue paint for the Islanders. Boston Bruins are a team a little bit on a roll. They got playoffs dancing in their head. Bruins are minus 20. Home favorites on the money line. Islanders are sitting at plus 100. Total in this game is 5.5 pucks. I like the Boston Bruins to come away with a home victory sitting at minus 120. Got a little bit of MLS action on for you later today, too. Toronto FC is back in New York to face New York City FC. Andre Pirlo, David Villa and the boys. Should be an entertaining game with Giovinco. I'm not quite sure if Altidore is going to be back in the starting 11. He was held out. I think he'll be back. He said he could play. But they were just being cautious with him. But I'm glad you could join me. Remember, you can find my work on Twitter at KJ_the_block. You can find my work on my blog site, KyleJohnstonTheBlock.wordpress.com. Let's go fucking Wolverines. I'm looking forward to this game. Kicks off in about an hour. Tips off in about an hour. And remember, if you're not laying the money down on the table, you're not winning. When I feel into the